I went to Bali for a full month, and in this video I'm going to tell you why I went. I'm going to share a little bit of the emotional roller coaster that happened while I was there. I'm going to show you all of my favorite food places. I'm going to tell you about where I stayed, how much I paid for my accommodation. I'm also going to share some of the highlights of the trip and also some of the lowlights. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below because I will answer all of them as soon as I can. Hello, my name is Celia, and if this is the first time you're at my channel, welcome. This is a little bit different to the other stuff that I've posted. The last video that I uploaded was all about how I sold my balloon event decorating business, and now I think I mentioned in that video that I was in Bali, and I plan on doing vlogs whilst I was in Bali, but it just didn't happen. I think that's because I got sick, but I'll cover more of that in this video. But yeah, I'm gonna start doing monthly vlogs plus additional videos during the month as well. And I thought for this one, I'm just gonna tell you everything about Bali. Before I get into it, I'm gonna share some of the videos that I took before I left. It's Tuesday, 7th of Feb, and if you can already tell from my face, had a little meltdown, but we're all good. I've been sleeping really crap the last 2 nights. I think it's just because there's like a lot on my mind with like heading away. So it's 10:30, Buds finishes work at like 4, maybe a bit earlier today, and then we're heading straight to Melbourne. So I want to spend the next couple of hours just finalizing my pack and like get my suitcase and everything fully done, and then be able to just chill out for a bit. Like I don't want to be rushed and be like packing last minute things when he gets ready, especially if he's going to finish early. So I would love to be packed and done in the next hour and a half, which doesn't seem that shouldn't be too hard because I've basically packed everything. It's just finalizing things. And then I kind of want to have a nap. I would really like to have like an hour or an hour and a half nap because your girl is emotional. She's had a little meltdown already, little teary. And I feel like if that's happening now, when I say goodbye to Buds later tonight, it'll be full on meltdown. So I'm basically a baby that if she doesn't have her sleep, you know that meme?
Did you have a nap today? I did! Well, you need one.
So I'm like that. All right, I need to start packing. Okay, I'm in my hotel room. I booked a night at the Park Royal, which is directly across from Melbourne Airport, because I didn't want to have to stress about the traffic in the morning from Ballarat to Melbourne. So I booked this. Buds and I went out for a beautiful dinner. We went to this place called Mission District, which is like gluten-free, certified for celiacs, Mexican food, and it was amazing. And then he dropped me off here, and it was the weirdest thing saying goodbye. Like, we've done 4 weeks apart before, but that was very early on in our relationship, and that was for work. I was heading to India for 4 weeks. This feels very different because I'm doing it voluntarily. Like, I'm going because it's something that I've always wanted to do. But I am so emotional. Like, I have literally cried 3 times today, had 3 meltdowns. The first was when I was buying Buds a Valentine's Day present. The second was when I said goodbye to the dog. And then the third was when I said goodbye to Buds before. So, oh no, actually that's 4 cries because I also had a teary when I saw Mum. Love that. It's weird because I want to do this. Like, I'm so conflicted. I feel like I can't wait to see what I'm like in 28 days when I've been by myself for that long and I've really pushed myself outside of the comfort zone, because right now it feels really scary. Not scary that like I'm afraid to go, just like I just am so out of my comfort zone. Like, I like being in my house and having Buds and like the dog, and oh, what am I doing? Like, why am I going to Bali? Why am I going to Bali? The reason I'm going is because it's something I've always wanted to do. The timing is right to go now. Like, I don't have my businesses anymore. I really need something to help me switch off from being go, go, go all the time. And I always feel so relaxed in Bali. It's just weird going solo. But I know it'll be good for me. Like, I know at the end of this, it'll be so good for me and I'll feel so good. And oh my God, look how red my face is. I'm gonna have a really early night. Like, I've had the last 2 nights. You know what? This whole crying stuff and being super emotional could be directly related back to lack of sleep. I've had 2 really bad nights of sleep, and tonight I'm so keen for like an early night. It's so weird. I just, as I've said, I'm just so out of my comfort zone. But so tomorrow all I need to do is walk across that little bridge and then I'm at the airport. That's the little entrance bit down there. It's a very nice room. This room actually is massive. So a big bed. I've opened up my suitcase. And then office area for work, I guess. I should lock this. And then bathroom. It's actually a very, oh, does it have a bath? It does have a bath. Maybe I'll have a bath and watch something on YouTube. I think that'd be really nice. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna go. Okay, so we've had a little turnaround. I had a really good night's sleep last night and I feel like a new person, which is great because I woke up feeling so excited to go. So I'm gonna put all of yesterday's meltdowns to lack of sleep. But yeah, I've had a shower, gotten ready. And now I'm gonna pack up everything and head over to the airport. It's also like 7:10, so that's 3 hours until, oh, there's a plane taking off. There it goes. It's actually so cool. I could sit and watch these all day. As I was saying, it's 7:10, so my flight leaves at 10:10, so I'm 3 hours away from leaving now. And I know you're supposed to give 3 hours to the airport. I plan on doing that, but I also am not stressed because I'm so close. So I'm planning on packing up my bags and going down now, hopefully get across to like the gates and stuff within like the next half an hour. And then I want to get some books at the airport, maybe see if I can find something for breakfast. Yeah, I better pack up and I better get ready to go. So as you can see from those videos, I was very emotional before going, and I knew I would be, not just from the part of like being out of my comfort zone and leaving my partner. I had a lot on my plate. I'd recently sold a business. I was sort of in between figuring out what I was going to be doing. And I knew Bali would be a really good reset for me. And yeah, I knew I would be emotional. So I'm not surprised by all the crying videos and photos that I had before I left. Now, probably a month before I left, I decided to treat future Celia to a day spa once I first landed in Bali. So I think I landed in Bali and then the next day I booked like a 3 or 4 hour spa treatment. And whilst I'm talking, I'm gonna share a heap of photos and videos that I took throughout, and it'll give you a better idea of what I was seeing. The day spa is Bodyworks. I did so much Googling and Instagramming and even TikTok, like searching day spas in Bali on TikTok, and came across Bodyworks, which is in Seminyak. It is the most aesthetically pleasing place I have ever seen. Like it's so beautiful, and you don't really see that from the road either. So you sort of go inside and then it's just like magical. Once I was there, I had a few different treatments. So I had a massage that was great. It was a little bit interesting because, so I think I had like a scrub and then like a mask. And at the end, I had this mask thing on, and you walk into the room and there's like a bath there and then like the big table. And after I had the mask on, the lady that did my massage was like, all right, like rinse off in the bath. And I was like, cool, like I will do once you get out of the room, sort of thing. Like, you know how that's just what I expected. Anyway, no, I sat in the bath and she like rubbed it all off me and gave me a shower. So that was kind of interesting. Anyway, after I had that, I then had a facial, and then I was also getting my hair washed and trimmed. I asked for a trim, and I'm thinking a trim as in like straight, like wash the hair, then like dead straight, and then just like a trim along like the edges. I was wrong. I ended up getting so much cut off my hair, which was fine, like it needed it, but I just wasn't expecting it. So that's what I had done. I really liked it. I really liked the place and I would go back. The massage wasn't anything like super amazing. Like the place was beautiful, don't get me wrong. And I think if you're going to Bali, you should definitely go to Bodyworks. Maybe it's just the scrub and stuff that I had. I think I would have been better to just book a plain massage. But I think it was like $185 for everything that I got. Definitely check it out. It is such a beautiful place. And I did, I don't know if I said this before, but I booked a month in advance. And when I was there was a lot of people coming in trying to book and they couldn't get in. So make sure that if you're thinking about it, maybe book in advance. Even just a couple of days in advance would probably be fine. When I saw people at the register, they were trying to book in for the same day and I don't think they could get in. So that's that one. Now I'm going to talk to you about the accommodation that I booked. So this is probably something that I struggled with the most because I didn't want to book a private villa because I thought that would be really isolating, and I still wanted to be around people just in the sense that I'd be passing people, because if I spent an entire day in the villa, I wouldn't see anyone. So I didn't want to book a villa. I wanted to book somewhere that I didn't need a restaurant and I didn't need like beachfront or anything like that, but I wanted to be close to the beach. I also didn't feel like I needed to spend over $100 for the first part a night because I was like, I just want to just want to see how it goes. It's just me, and I found the perfect place. So the first place that I stayed was called Amerta Seminyak. Sorry, my camera just cut out of memory. But we're back. So Amerta Seminyak. So that was the first place that I stayed, and I only booked the first 9 nights because I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I wasn't sure if I would stay in Seminyak or if I would move to a different location. And I booked the first 9 nights, and I think it was $68 a night. It had 2 levels. It wasn't a lot of accommodation. I reckon there might have been maybe 20 different rooms there, maybe. I was on the first floor. There was a pool to share. It was just like, it was so nice. And I would have probably stayed there a lot longer because I just kept extending my time there. And then it got to a point where they were fully booked, so I couldn't actually extend. And that's the only really reason I left. But after the 9 days, I went downstairs and I negotiated the rate for the future because like, I'd been booking via booking.com, and I know that they take a portion of the like payment. So I knew that you can like wiggle room when you negotiate. So I think I got the next few nights for like $60 or $62 a night or something. So it's not a huge difference, but I guess in Bali it is. After Amerta, I moved to a place called Amadea. I think that's how it's pronounced. I'll put it on the screen here. This wasn't far away, and that was lucky because I got quite sick, and again, we'll cover this a little bit later in the video, but this place was a lot more, I guess, not touristy, but it was a lot more busier with travelers, I guess. I paid $131 a night, and I booked for 5 nights, and then I decided to stay longer and again negotiated to pay directly to the hotel, and I paid $115 a night for the next however many nights that was. This place was great. It wasn't far from the last place. So Seminyak is a very sort of like smallish area where I was, the area that I was in, and I think this was like 1.2 kilometers away, just literally up the road. And it was great. So this is like a resort, but also has villas, like big villas that you can book. It's off one of the main streets in Seminyak. If you're familiar with the area, it's like down from La Favela. And it was great. So it had 2 pools. One was like the main pool, which was good because it was like, that's where the families would go. And then over where I was sort of staying was this other smallish pool. It wasn't small, like it was a great size pool. And every time I went there, there was barely anyone there, if anyone. So it was great. I really liked it. There was also like a little alleyway in between like where the villas are and where the resort is. So if you wanted to order food or a Gojek, you could get someone to come there to sort of pick you up as well, which I really liked. Otherwise, you could get the golf cart that would take you out to the main street area. Something else that I'm going to cover is transport. So if you're planning a trip to Bali, something that I would recommend, and I recommend this to everyone going, especially for your first time, is organize a transfer with your hotel that you're staying at. This just makes it so much easier, especially if you've had like a delayed flight or you are just sick of traveling and don't want to have to deal with people when you first arrive. So I organized with Amerta, the first place that I stayed, and I just messaged them on booking.com. However you book, if you're booking directly with them, you just email them. But I just booked via booking.com and messaged them on there saying, hey, do you do airport transfers? And I think I paid 250 Indonesia rupiah, which is like 25 Australian dollars. So I just feel like for $25, the trip is about 30 to 40 minutes depending on traffic, and you basically come out of the airport with your suitcase and there's just like a gate with like heaps of people behind it holding up like a name. And yeah, once I saw my name, the person comes and grabs your suitcase from you and you're whisked away in a car, and it just makes it so much easier and less hassle. Other than that, I pretty much caught scooters basically everywhere. The only time I didn't really catch a scooter was if I was going further away from my area or if it was raining. But I would recommend before you leave, download the Gojek app. It's great for booking a scooter. You put in like, it's kind of like Uber, but you can also book scooters, book cars. You can order food delivery too, so that's really handy. Another one is Grab, but I just downloaded Gojek and that's all that I used. Most of the trips around Seminyak cost me like $1.20 Australian, so what's that? 12,000 rupiah. And you can opt to like recharge within there, so you would put money into your account. I think you do that at like the mini mart things, like the Circle K places, but I would just pay cash. So yeah, 12,000 rupiah for a trip. I would usually pay them just $20,000. I don't know, I felt bad. Like trips that were like a 10-minute drive and you're paying them $1.20. I don't know. Anyway, pay whatever you want, but that's Gojek, and I would highly recommend downloading that before you leave. On the topic of using apps, let's cover SIM cards. So I've had a lot of questions already on my social media, my TikTok and my Instagram. I shared a lot of my Bali trip on my socials, obviously not on YouTube, but on Instagram and TikTok. So if you're interested in following me along for future adventures, definitely make sure you're following me there. I'll put the links below. But I knew not to get a SIM card at the airport. So once you come out of the airport, you've gone through customs and immigration and all that, you will see heaps of people standing next to their like telecommunication company things, and they'll be trying to sell you SIM cards. I knew they were really expensive in there, so I was like, I'm not gonna buy one here. And what I probably should have done is held off a little bit longer, but once I got in the car with my driver, I said to him, can we go get a SIM card? And we stopped not far out of the airport, and I think that was probably a mistake because I still probably overpaid. I think I paid like 40 Australian dollars, whereas in the airport they were asking for like 80 or 100. However, what I didn't realize is one day I went to one of the mini marts and these guys came in and they were like, can we buy a SIM card? So you can buy them from like these mini marts, and like Circle K, I think they were called, are everywhere. They're just like a little, they're like a 7-Eleven, but they're everywhere in Bali. You can go in there and you can book a SIM card and then you can recharge, but it's not called recharging, it's called topping up. So that's something that I learned while I was there. The SIM card was great. I basically just used it to have data wherever I went, and it just made me feel a bit safer. Not that I never felt unsafe in Bali. Like, I think that was one reason that I went to Bali too, was because I felt so comfortable there. So yeah, download Gojek and get a SIM card once you arrive. I'm gonna cover all of my favorite food places, but first I wanted to touch on the gym that I joined. So whilst this trip was about like, not really finding myself, but it was about me being a bit more independent. I feel like throughout COVID, I just became a little bit of a hobbit. I didn't really do much, and I felt like I didn't really get out of my comfort zone. So I also wasn't in the best routine of like healthy eating and exercise. I was a bit because I had been exercising before I left, but I was like, this time is just to focus on me. And something that I knew I wanted to do was to join a gym whilst in Bali, so I had no excuse to not do exercise. It was wet season when I traveled too, so this was in all of February, so that's wet season. Basically every night there was a storm and it would pour down rain, but the days weren't too bad except for a couple of hours here and there randomly. I decided to join the gym. It's called Soham Wellness. It's in Seminyak. It's literally just up the road from Bodyworks, and it is incredible. There's a massive pool, a massive gym. They've got heaps of different classes you can do. Something that I loved was the spa and the cold plunge. I'd never done like a proper cold plunge before other than having cold showers, but this was amazing. It was absolutely freezing, but you just feel so good after it. There's also a cafe there and car parking or scooter parking if you decide to rent your own scooters. They also had couches and stuff that you could chill out in before or after your workout. So it was really good. I paid, I think, $140 for a monthly membership, but I didn't really utilize it in the first week. I think I bought it at the end of the first week, so I really only used it for 3 weeks for $140. If the camera angle looks a little bit different, it's because the battery died, and I really should have like organized the battery and the memory card beforehand, but we didn't. Anyway, pressing on. So what we're up to is I want to now talk about different food places that I love whilst in Bali. If you've been following me on socials, back in December, I was diagnosed with celiac disease, and that basically means that I have to be gluten-free. I remember when I first got diagnosed, I remember reading in like a Facebook group or something, people talking about being nervous or like a little bit anxious about eating out and going to restaurants, and I thought, why? Like, just order the gluten-free option. Wrong. Cross-contamination is real, and that was something I was definitely nervous about going to Bali, but I was completely fine. So there is a Facebook group, I think it's called Gluten-Free in Bali. I'll share it on the screen now, and I'd highly recommend joining it if you are celiac or eat a gluten-free diet. But there are so many options. So I'm gonna reel through some of them now, and I'm gonna share some videos on the screen of the different food that I had. It was absolutely amazing. So first up is Maid's Bakery, banana flour bakery or something. There's actually 2 shops of Maid's Banana Bakery. So there's the bakery and then there's actually a restaurant. I went to the bakery once, but I ordered their bread online and their desserts a couple of times. I also ordered from their shop, and it was really good, like gluten-free food, tastes amazing, would highly recommend. So I would buy their bread and then take that to my hotel, and they would make me breakfast in the morning. So I would bring my own bread, they would poach me some eggs, and that's what I would have for breakfast while I was staying at the first place. It just worked really well and it was delicious. The next couple of places that I'm going to share with you are Italian places. So if you're down for some pasta or some gluten-free pizza, definitely check out Rustica or Dolce Vita. Rustica's in Seminyak. I had the most amazing pasta here. It's so good. They have like a gluten-free menu. Same with Dolce Vita. They also have a gluten-free menu. They're in Kuta. Both chefs at the places or someone within the business is gluten-free. So the food is just unreal and super safe. Now, a few of my favorite cafes that I would go to for breakfast, one was definitely Kind Community. This is a vegan place, but it is absolutely amazing. Basically every morning for the last 2 weeks, I would go to this place and I would get there. It's like smashed avocado, and I would get pumpkin hummus and garlic mushrooms on the side. It was so good. They also did really good rice paper rolls. Another one is Organic Cafe. If you're looking for something sweet, definitely go here and have their, I think they were banoffee pancakes. They were so delicious and so rich. I would highly recommend, and it's a super aesthetically pleasing cafe as well. Another one is Coffee Cartel. So Coffee Cartel was right next to my gym, which was super handy. So sometimes I'd go to the gym, bring my laptop, and then after the gym have a quick shower and then go to Coffee Cartel and do some work and have breakfast. It was really good. I would just get like poached eggs. They also had eggs Benedict that I would get on gluten-free toast, and it was so yum. And I never got sick, so after eating all of these different places, I didn't get sick at all. Somewhere that I would go for lunch every now and again was this quite random place. It was Brazilian Australian barbecue, and I'm pretty sure it was 2 Australian guys that have this like, it's like the meat comes out in these massive steaks and they cut it off for you, and you have these little tongs and you like sort of peel it away. And it's just amazing. There's a full buffet there, and when I got there, I mentioned that I was celiac and couldn't have gluten-free, and one of the owners came out and walked me through everything in their buffet that I could and couldn't have, and that was at risk of cross-contamination, so that was great. I loved it there. Another one was Motel Mexicola. This is like a super popular place to visit. They had multiple gluten-free options, and when I mentioned celiac, they understood what I was talking about. Their food was really good too. They do have, there was one time I went, it was lunchtime, and they have these like singers or performers that go around, and they were going around to all the different tables, and I was just sitting there by myself when they came over and asked to sing me a song, and it was just the most uncomfortable thing. They were so sweet, but it was so uncomfortable. If you're looking for a dessert, I would highly recommend Froyo in Seminyak. I love frozen yogurt. I wish Ballarat had frozen yogurt, but I would go there and pick different things. Obviously the toppings and stuff you have to be careful with, and there's the risk of cross-contamination, but I was fine and I loved it. Overall, I felt super safe ordering food in Bali. I loved it. There's supermarkets you can go to too. Even in the like mini marts and stuff, there were gluten-free options. So I feel like it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be, being able to look online. Also reach out to places on Instagram. There's a sushi place in Seminyak called Sushimi. I went there a couple of times. They had gluten-free soy sauce. Obviously there is the risk of cross-contamination. You just have to figure out what you're comfortable with. As a celiac, I probably shouldn't be as comfortable as I am, but yeah, I don't know, I love sushi. I'll quickly chat about the co-working spaces and places that I would take my laptop to. So when I first arrived in Bali, my plan was to figure out this balance of like work and play, and realizing that I don't have to work like 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day. I just have to do a couple of hours. And I originally was going to sign up to a co-working space, like pay for a membership. I went to 2 different co-working spaces, and both of them were fully booked out, and you had to go on like a 2-week wait list, and you might not get in within those 2 weeks. So instead I just opted to go to different cafes, and it was great. It was so good. Like the Wi-Fi is good. It's like you can have lunch there. It's very relaxed. I would bring in my headphones, so I just have my headphones, my laptop, and would just be in the zone of working, but also being able to people watch. It was great. I really enjoyed it. But you can definitely sign up to co-working spaces if you need like private spaces for phone calls or meetings or whatnot. I would definitely recommend reaching out to co-working spaces probably a month before you arrive to see what the go is with memberships, because I couldn't believe how busy these places were. Like, they were packed. I'm now going to talk about some of the highlights and lowlights of the trip. So I'll start with the lowlights, and that was getting sick. So I think it was towards the end of the second week, or like halfway through the second week or something. I went out for lunch, and at lunch my nose started running and I started to get a headache, and I was like, why do I feel sick? And then ended up going home, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I now think I had COVID. It came on super quick. I was basically in bed for the next 4 days. I could not do anything. The only time I left my room was to go down and pick up food from out the front, and then I would go back up to my room. All of the same symptoms as when I had COVID last time. So yeah, that was really rough, and I think that was a low light because, like, you were by yourself. I was by myself. Like, I had no one that I could be like, oh, go and like give me sympathy. Although, like, I rang my family and partner and everyone, like, but it's just different when you're sick and you're alone and you're in another country and you just feel like crap. So that was a low light. The other thing was, and this is not a low light, but I think, like, I wanted to go to Bali for 4 weeks because it was like a bucket list thing that I had, like, go to Bali minimum 4 weeks. But I think by halfway through the third week, I reckon I had 5 nights to go or something. I was ready to come home. Like, I was counting down the sleep. So I was like, I could go home now and be content. And I had originally thought to go to Perth for a bit to see my sister and then fly home from Perth. But I stayed in Bali the full 4 weeks, can tick that off the bucket list. I loved it. And I definitely think it's like fulfilled my Bali needs. Like, I don't think I would go back to Bali unless I was on holidays with friends or family or buds. It's not really a low light, it's just, I think 4 weeks was enough solo. That may have been different though if I hadn't have gotten sick. I don't know, but yeah, by 3.5 weeks, I was ready to come home. Now let's get on to the highlights. So the biggest highlight for me was I felt like I got my confidence back in the weirdest of ways. Like, I've always been a pretty confident person, but I think I'd kind of lost myself a little bit since I sold my balloon event decorating business. Not as much the business, it was more just that, like, the routine of the day, like having a purpose and being a service-based business, people are relying on you. And now working for myself, I'm like, no one relies on me except for me. And I just didn't have a good routine. I wasn't eating the best. I wasn't prioritizing exercise, all these things that I was like, oh, you've got all this spare time now you can do. I wasn't doing. Whereas in Bali, I really prioritized my health and my fitness and eating healthy foods, but also delicious foods, and not snacking on junk that I knew would make me feel like crap. And yeah, that was definitely a highlight for me because I've come home and I was just so keen to get back into my routine of exercise because I was like following it on from Bali. And I was doing exercise before it, but I think having a solid like 3-ish weeks minus the week that I was sick, I just felt so good coming home. And yeah, I've been able to continue, which is great. The other major highlight for me was definitely having a better balance. So a better balance of work and understanding that I don't need to be sitting at a desk for 6 hours for my creative flow to sort of come through. I can do less and still be successful in my own eyes. So yeah, they were some highlights for me. I'm really glad that I did it. To be honest, I can't believe that the 4 weeks had gone so quick. By the time I got home, it was like I just left, which is crazy because it's 4 weeks. Like, that's why I kind of like doing YouTube and sharing different stuff online too, because like this is a video diary for me to look back on in years to come and be like, yeah, I did. I went to Bali for a month and I loved it and I went solo. And I think that's really cool. I'm really, really happy for myself. Happy for my past self. I had so many people message me whilst I was away being like, you're by yourself. Like, are you not scared? Do you feel safe? Like, I could never do that. You can do that. I want you to be in your comfort zone, but you also sometimes have to step out of your comfort zone. I've always felt super safe in Bali. This was, I think, my 6th or 7th time to Bali. The first time I went was back in 2009 for my schoolies trip. Times have changed since then, that's for sure, but I love Bali. I will definitely return to Bali one day, probably on a holiday with friends or family, but for now, that bucket list item is ticked and I am absolutely stoked. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you are looking for a bit more of my content, you can check out my other YouTube videos, or you can follow me on my social media. I'll link everything below. My channel's kind of evolved over the last few years since I started. So I started my YouTube back in the pandemic when it started in, I think, April 2020, and I was sharing all my business stuff, and then we did travel vlogging when my partner and I traveled around Australia. I shared a lot of my balloon business, so there's a big mix of different stuff on my YouTube, but if you'd like to check that out, you can scroll back through my profile and have a look on my channel. I get confused with profiles, channels, subscribers, followers, all that sort of stuff, but yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you're planning a trip to Bali, you will absolutely love it. Like, it's so much fun. There's something like it's very relaxing, it's affordable. The people are just lovely. Like, everyone you come into contact with is just so lovely, especially like your hotel staff. They are just so nice. I would, yeah, recommend the places that I stay depending on what your budget is. On the lower end, the Amerta place, you can definitely get cheaper too. Like, if you wanted to do really cheap, you can get like $3 a night, like hostels and stuff in Bali. So, and they also come with a pool, so you can check them out. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.